Hey everyone, I am Robin the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth. And today we are going to talk about how much money do freelance copywriters make? Now I can't speak for other copywriters, but I can speak for this copywriter. And guess what? I'm going to get really vulnerable with you guys. I'm opening up my books and I'm going to show you some money numbers. So right now I'm going to turn it over to myself on Zoom so you can see what's what. We are back. So I call this the vulnerability edition because, hey, when you talk about money, why is it that we always get kind of a little, I don't know, twitchy about it? I don't know if that is just an American thing or if that's, if that's something that everyone feels about in all sorts of places. I don't know. I just know that it's often considered impolite to talk about money and things like that. And you know what? I think it does a disservice, especially to people who are trying to figure out, hey, can I make a go of this? And especially when it has to do with business. I think we have to be more transparent when it comes to pricing and to money discussions and how much money you can make and how much things cost. So the way I got to this was recently, within the last couple of months, I've seen a lot of I shouldn't say a lot. I've seen a handful of freelance copywriters talking more about money and sharing, like being very transparent about what they've made in the last year, month to month, last 10 years, things like that. And it's impressive. I mean, the numbers are impressive, but it's just impressive that people are being so open and honest. And I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe I should do that. And I think it's going to be surprising to see someone like me who's been at this for over 20 years. But I also think because of the numbers I'm about to show you, but I also think that it's going to probably give everyone a sigh of relief too, because a lot of the videos you see are about, the six-figure, copywriting income and everything like that. And that's great. And you know what? It is possible. And I'm not far off from making six figures. I haven't cracked that nut yet. And there are a few reasons as to why, which I'll get into. But you can also make a good living not making six figures and just, and having time for other stuff. So it depends on what your goals are, what you're trying to do, how much money you need to make. But I think I'm a good example of someone who hasn't hit that six-figure mark, might never hit that mark, or maybe I will, I don't know. But I'm doing okay. Like, I'm able to stay in Doritos and wine like I always joke, but I'm able to, pay the rent, now a mortgage, not carry debt. So, okay, I'm gonna get off my little whatever this is right now and talk about money. So I started my business in 2002. And it's funny, I went back and for some reason, those numbers, I don't have those numbers. I don't know if it was on a different folder or whatever. I have from 2003 on. So I'm going to start with 2003 and that's okay because I started my business in August of 2002. And I don't think I ever made very much money that year with copywriting. Now, in the beginning, so for the first 6 years as I built my business, I was also doing other side work in order to make bank. So I was building the copywriting business. I continued working in radio part-time. So I had come from a full-time position in radio, but I stayed part-time in radio on air on weekends and holidays. So I had that income coming in. And then for a year or so, I also worked as an activities assistant in a nursing home. So before I was the copy bitch, I was the bingo bitch. And then I also did some teaching from 2003 until about 2006. I taught a writing course and also a course in public speaking. So this is how I cobbled my existence together in the early days. You might have to do that as well, or maybe not. It depends. And then 2008 is when the magic happened. And I shouldn't say it's when the magic happened. It's just I got to a point where I was able to just make my income entirely from copywriting, and I've never looked back. So I'm going to kind of show you the very early years when I was cobbling together my existence. I'm going to show you 2008, and then I'm going to show you the last 3 years. I'm not including 2023 in this. What I'll do at the beginning of 2024, if I'm still doing videos and the world is still intact, I will share what I made in 2023 if this is useful to people. But I think you're going to see some interesting things. And like I said, hopefully this gives people hope. Hopefully it gives you a sense of what you could possibly make. Now, again, I'm in the US. I'm in the Northeast, right outside of Boston. So just keep that in mind. And this is US dollars. So let's go here. And how much money I've made from copywriting. So here is 2003. So as you can see, I have all the different pieces. I have copywriting, radio, I call it the bingo bitch, and then teaching. So it came to just a little over 19 grand. I'm hoping these numbers are right. Like I'm hoping this, I didn't double check. Like I just did this really fast when I was going through all my files. So, but this looks all right to me in case I don't know if my math's all right, but this is pretty accurate. So now we're going to go to 2004. So I no longer worked at the nursing home. I only did that for a little over a year, or not even a year. I don't even remember. But so now we have copywriting. I'm at 14, just shy of 15 grand. Radio 7 grand, teaching a little over 6 grand. So we jumped from that 19 to 28. So that wasn't bad. Let's see where my nav. I'm on my laptop, which I'm not usually. So 2005, pretty much the same. So consistency here. And you probably are noticing that I taught a lot. That was the year I think I taught. There was one semester where I taught 4 different sections. I was an adjunct. So I taught a night course, back-to-back classes. So like a 7 o'clock and a 9 o'clock class on like Monday, Wednesdays. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, I taught a 2.5-hour class both days about in public speaking. And it was nuts. Like that semester was the semester that made me think like, I don't want to teach. Like it just took so much out of me. And I did not want to write. That was the problem. It was just like completely left me without any energy to write. And I very rarely get like that. Like I can always write, but I just couldn't. So, and I realized it's a lot of work. It's a lot of brain power to teach. And this was back in 2005 before everyone had phones and would tape you in class and, social media. So like I hats off to teachers. I don't know how you do it, but anyway. So that was the year I did a lot of teaching. And then 2000, I guess I went, yeah, I guess, okay. So 2008, as I said, is when the magic happened. So in 2007, I think at the end of 2007, I stopped working in radio. I had already stopped teaching and I was just doing copywriting. So 2008 was the first year that my income was just from copywriting. And this is, just to be clear, this is revenue number. So this is the money that I made, like the revenue I made from clients. I'm not, taking into account business expense or anything like that. This is just the raw number revenue, cash checks that came in from clients. So I probably should have said that at the beginning and I'm saying it now. So revenue number, revenue number, revenue number. So that's 2008. So now let's look at the last 3 years and you're going to see a lot of consistency here and look at the jump. So this is where I'm at, and pretty consistent. So I was very fortunate during the pandemic years. I did not really miss a beat. Now first of all, you have to remember I'm one person. I'm not carrying a firm with employees or anything like that. I have a diversified roster of clients, so not just one client. And that's something you want to think about because I did go through a period in my earlier years as a copywriter where I just had like one marketing firm that I did most of my work for, an occasional one-off project here and there with some other people. And that was not a good idea because I was just a freelancer. I wasn't an employee. So I worked really hard to like kind of, have a roster of clients and have, a few regulars as well as people who give me regular business. They might not be regular every month clients, but they give me regular business throughout the year. And that's worked out well. So if somebody goes a little quiet, I can still pay rent and be in Doritos and wine, as I like to say. So how come I haven't hit the 6-figure number? Because that's something that like I said, you hear in all the YouTube, if you spend any time on YouTube looking at copywriting, you've seen them. And I don't begrudge the folks who are promoting this. And I don't have any, like, I'm sure that's what they're teaching is you could do it. You have to remember something about me. In addition to being a copywriter, I'm also a fiction writer. For me, copywriting has always kind of been like the thing that pays the bills while I'm working on my fiction, The Great American Novel. I've always had the dream of hoping someday to make a living or a good chunk of my living from fiction writing, creative writing, that sort of thing. So back in 2011, I self-published a couple of novels and kind of got really into that. I didn't, for a few years, I had some decent income coming in from the books. Not a lot, but like, I consider it almost like a client. That's how it works. So I did have royalties coming in. I still have the occasional royalties coming in from Amazon. But my point in telling you this is because I was so focused on fiction, I turned away a lot of work. When I say a lot of work, it's all relative, but there were people, there were at the marketing firm I worked for wanted me to take on more accounts, but I didn't because I didn't want to take away time from my fiction. So this isn't me being boastful or anything like that. I do think that if I wanted to crack the six-figure nut at this point, I think I could. I mean, I'm not that far away. I've turned some work away beginning of this year because, I didn't want to get too crazy busy and because I'm still working on creative stuff. I'm also at the point but I might not make that. I might not crack that nut. And here's why. I'm at a different point in my life than a lot of people are just starting out. I'm 50. I'm making good money. I don't have a lot of debt. I don't have any debt really, aside from a mortgage. I'm fortunate that way. Like I've always paid my bills, have been mindful about money I save for retirement. So I'm very, very fortunate. And I realize there's a lot of privilege and all that involved in getting me to this point, but I'm living well and happily and not working crazy hours, which is not where I'm at in my life. Like if this were 20 years ago when I was building my business, I was working all the time, and you might be at that point, and that's cool. Like, you know what? I think when you're in your 20s and your 30s before you're married and have kids and all that, like that's when you kind of do a lot of that work. I still think you need that life balance, but if you're building a business, you probably have the energy and you're excited and want to do it, and that's great. But I'm at the point in my life now where I like the work-life balance. So if I wanted to crack that six-figure nut, I feel fairly confident that I could. And who knows, maybe I will, because sometimes it's, raising rates and things like that can help, and just getting the right clients. So we'll see. We'll see how 2023 plays out. I'm definitely on pace right now with the last 3 years. We'll see how, the next 6 months go, and I'll share my numbers hopefully in early 2024. So there you go. Here's a regular person who didn't have any sort of experience in copywriting when she started in 2002 and just, wanted to write, loved writing, was trying to figure out a way to make some money doing it, learned about copywriting, probably did a lot of things wrong. This was before, social media, before, everyone had email addresses. So it was a very different, world. And then digital marketing and inbound marketing, kind of HubSpot, really changed things. And that's when things changed for me. And I kind of got, really found my rhythm and developed some traction. So I built slowly, as you saw. I had some other side gigs going in. And then eventually over the years, I was able to lose them. And here are the numbers where I'm at now. So if you got questions, of course, you can always leave them in the comments. And now I'm going to turn it back over to myself and Stewie. So there you have it. Hopefully seeing my numbers gives you a good idea as to what's possible. You might be able to make more, maybe start off making a little less, depending on where you are in the world. A lot of things can influence what you make, but just wanted to share my numbers because at least as a starting point, you can use that as a guideline for what it's worth. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. That helps us out. If you are a new copywriter or maybe a copywriter who's been around a while but you need some ideas, consider subscribing to my channel. I post content weekly and try to make it helpful. If you have a question, of course, leave it in the comments because maybe I will answer it by making a video. I am Robin the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie, my sidekick sloth. We'll see you next time.